Jesus has called us to follow him in the context of a community of followers. And that community is what we refer to as the local church. At the end of Acts chapter 2, we get a glimpse into the formation and life of the early church. And one of the things that we can identify is that the early church devoted themselves to practices which created patterns and ultimately developed one common way of life among all people in their submission to King Jesus. Now we see the practices of the early church in Acts 2 verse 42. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, which would have been Jesus's teaching. They devoted themselves to the fellowship in being a corporate body. They devoted themselves to the Lord's Supper in breaking the bread and drinking from the cup. And they devoted themselves to prayer and praying together. Now those practices became patterns. By verse 46, we see they were attending the temple and eating meals together day by day. It wasn't once a week, it was every day. Their practices developed patterns, and those patterns ultimately developed their way of life. So some of the marks of the early church was that they had awe for God. They had a sense of unity in that they had all things together. They had a sense of generous care, and they were selling their possessions and distributing to those who had need. And there was a sense of gladness in their heart as they were praising God and having favor with all people. Practices develop patterns, and patterns develop people. As disciples of Jesus, it's important we assess our patterns and determine if they're helping us become more like Jesus. May we be people who have Christ-like practices, which lead us to have Christ-like patterns and ultimately develop us as Christ-like people.